Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Steve Chadwick.
Well, that's lovely of you, sir. Look, I am following speakers, having listened to the debate in the House. I had a glorious year as a Minister of Conservation, and what a pity Nick Smith didn't even mention that wonderful practical rain. But however, I'm following on from the previous Minister of Tourism, who pointed out the very problems that when we were in government we had to face, and this bill just doesn't fix it. Look, this bill is as absurd. Picture this, following the member for Taupo. Picture this. A new tourist arriving on the shores of Lake Taupo doesn't have a clue where to find the toilets. No signage. No small subsidy scheme for little Waihi to even build a decent ablution block next to a camping ground or next to a pullover on the side of the road. So what do? So they foul the side of the road, and we see it and we are aware of this problem, but then they're going to be pinged with a $200 fine. Who is going to issue the fine? Who is going to issue the fine? Is it the local authority? Is it the regional councillor? Is it the frontline dock ranger who, instead of protecting species, now that 13 million's been knocked off the conservation budget every year, who's going to be responsible for issuing the fine? And do you know what the tourist will say? I'm not going to pay it. They're not going to pay it. So we're going to set up an amazing bureaucracy around this bill to actually catch the fine or catch the pooper. Is it the dog or is it the person? Who's going to issue the fine? Is it to the dog or is it to the person? And then who's going to check when they leave the airport? Is that going to be a customs, or is it an airport responsibility to say this person was found soiling the road in Tekapo, they mustn't leave the country until they've paid this $200 fine? This is a stupid bill. That's all. It's not practical and it's not stupid. And it is a nanny state responsibility to what is a complex issue about the spoiling of our beautiful environment that we do all care about. Look, the Freedom Campers actually came to us when we were in government too and said, hang on a minute, they came with a solution for a mix of penalties for those that didn't have ablution facilities on their camper vans. And they said they're the problem, but you're pinging everyone with this because some campers pay a premium to get a camper van that has a good ablution block on it. But is that going to stop the guy that's been drinking at night and goes into the bushes for a quick one? You know, you've got to think of the practicalities around this, and it doesn't solve the problem that we're all concerned about a clean, green environment. The other issue that I heard, and Damien O'Connor mentioned it too, it is ironic that government thinks this is the quick fix to environment protection when they have cut the very subsidy that allowed small communities to put in basic sanitation blocks and facilities wherever they saw the need along the countryside where Freedom Campers wanted to go. That subsidy scheme's gone zip. So instead, I wonder if the collection of the $200 fine proposed in this bill would go back into local authorities' coffers through the Department of Tourism so that they can build decent ablution blocks so that camper vans can pull up and actually use those facilities. That was the sort of proposal and the solution that we put in to other previous big events in this country, where we put more refuse collection, where we started to build these small ablution blocks. They don't even know that existed over there. I don't think members in government even realised how good that scheme was. Local authorities loved it. Local authorities could make the decision about where these were to go. The Swiss scheme, ask Minister Tony Ryle. It was administered through health, and all of the funding has gone. So you haven't even looked at some little toolbox solutions that were there for government at the time. So clearly, Minister Ryle hasn't talked to Minister Wilkinson, who hasn't talked to the Minister of Environment, Nick Smith, because those measures that were already there are not even included in this bill. So the nanny state national government is going to just issue fines all over the country. They're not going to put up any signage. There's nothing in here about signage to say. No, there's not. There's no information for Freedom campers at all about this law change. There should be information kits for new visitors to the country to say, welcome to New Zealand. Now you're going to find you get a $200 fine and we'll take the apple off you too that you bring in from Australia and we'll ping you for that. Welcome to New Zealand. Haere mai. Welcome to the Rugby World Cup. Have we got a quick fix solution for you? This is a band-aid solution. I hope at the Select Committee, actually, we can flesh it out, and that's why Labor will be supporting this to Select Committee. Some areas, Rotorua, for example, says the provisions in this bill sort of meet what we're doing anyway. We have a thing called a Rotorua Open Public Place Policy, and in that policy we promulgate bylaws and we encourage people in freedom camping situations to go to this place where there is a toilet and an ablution facility. So how silly. This bill is just silly. It is not a bill that is actually going to give us a great reputation as a country of liberal thinkers, people who love the environment, people who want to come here. It's a nanny state bill. It's a stupid solution, again, because of the Rugby World Cup. And I think the Minister could have done much better than this if there had been a set of comprehensive, a mix of fines and a mix of the Swiss scheme and get that promulgated and look at where that fine goes instead of just into the government coffers as another revenue backdoor facility. And for goodness sake, who's going to police this? Who's going to monitor this? And if it's frontline dock rangers, then I think that's an appalling waste of conservation money. So there was a whole mix and suite of solutions to what looks to be a very overt problem that does cause environmental degradation. I hate this being called the Freedom Campers Bill. To me, this says freedom camping is dead in New Zealand, Bill. We're going to tell you where to go, Bill. And we could have come up with, as Damien said, an environment protection bill and looked at this whole problem of degradation of and contamination of public sites in a much more comprehensive manner that fitted our clean, green environment.
I call the honourable member